Hello developers and welcome to today's episode of the How to Make an RPG in Unity tutorial series. Now in this episode, we're going to be making our starting village better because right now it's literally just a single house. And we're also going to be making the first quest work. So yeah, today we'll just we're not going to be adding anything new pretty much. We're just going to be improving our scene a little bit and making our quest finally work. So as you can see here, we press the play button in Unity. What's going to happen is that you talk to Jimmy or Gregory or whatever we call them, and then we should be able to have a quest marker after that, and we'll walk up to this chest. And what should happen is that when we get close enough to this chest, it should say press E to open, or like press E to drop a weapon, or something like that. And then we can open the chest, and then as soon as we open it, a weapon will spawn in, and the skeletons will spawn in around us. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing today for now. And yeah, so with that said, let's get coding. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to be having to create a new script called chess request 01 script. Now in the future, we're going to be implementing for sure, chest UI and like the ability to store items in chests. But for now, what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be making the chest like drop out, like spit out a weapon. So the reason we're going to do this is because it'll take a long time for us to actually make a chest UI and like a chest system, which will also take like a couple of episodes. And another is that at the start of the game, you don't really need a chest system because like really you just want something to give your player like a single sword, right? So that's why we're going to be doing this. So let's also actually right click and create a new folder called quest objects, so we can store every single quest object in here, and we can just put it here or drag the script in here, and what we can do is we can just enter the script. So yeah, cool. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're just going to delete these two functions, and what we're going to do is we're going to reference the ground items to it. So we're just going to say public game object ground item, and we're going to reference a transform of where the position of the sword is going to be after we drop it. And yeah, so after that we also need to reference the trigger text, and in order for us to reference the trigger text we also need to use TM Pro. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So what we need to do now is void on trigger enter. We want to set trigger text.setActive true, and we also want to set the trigger text get component text mesh pro UGUI. So we're getting the text from the trigger text, and we're going to set the text to be equal to press E to pick up or open chest. And then we're going to also, that's literally pretty much it. So yeah, basically, we can't use single quotes, we have to use double quotes. So yeah, as soon as we get close enough, the chest will say press E to open chest, or the trigger text will say that, and when we leave the trigger, what's going to happen is trigger text is set to false. And on trigger stay, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new function, and we're going to call this let's call this spawn sword. Basically on this new function, what's going to happen is we're going to call this if the player presses E. So if input.get key code .e. The reason we're putting this if statement in the on trigger stay is because we only want this to happen if they are in the trigger, not if like our player just presses E randomly. So if they press E, then we're going to instantiate, or we're going to call actually just the spawn sword function. And what's going to happen here in the spawn sword function is what we're going to do is we're going to say instantiate ground item, and we're going to make the position that it instantiates in as drop position dot position, oops, and drop position dot rotation. And yeah, that should be pretty much it. And the last thing we're going to need to do is we're just going to destroy our game objects. So destroy the chest, and we're also going to set the trigger text to be false. So yeah, this is literally pretty much it for what we need to do. So now we can safely go back into Unity, and we're going to do a couple of things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to treasure chest. We're going to rename this as something better, like chest 01, and we can add a box collider on it, so we can't just run through it. We're also going to create another cube within this chest, and we're going to make this cube, let's say 2 by 2 by 2. We're going to turn off the mesh collider and turn on is trigger so we can interact with it. Let's make it actually 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5. Drag the quest object in, and also let's just make this cube a bit bigger, and we can call this trigger. And then for the ground item, we just go into prefabs, weapons, and go to our small dagger. I believe that's the ground item. The drop position will be us creating a new empty, which will be on top of the chest, and we'll call this drop position. And then we just drag that in, and then the trigger text is pretty obvious. It's literally just a trigger text. So yeah, we also have to make a check. So we have to say if other.tag is equal to player. Also forgot about that. So it's like the reason we do this is because, you know, technically when the game starts, the trigger is interacted with this on the ground technically entered the trigger. And we don't want that to actually, you know, call, like, we don't want like the ground to be able to trigger our scripts, right? We only want our player to be able to trigger a script. So now that we have fixed all of those things that we needed to do, we can just go into Unity and everything should work. So let's just hop on in, and I believe that was the ground item prefab. I'm actually not too sure, but yeah. So yeah, let's get close to it. Right, so now we're close. It says press E to open the chest, and if we leave, we can't see it anymore. And so if we get too close, it'll drop this sword, which is really cool. And yeah, that's cool. Okay, so that was perfect. That was exactly what we needed. Great. So now the final thing for today's episode is we're just going to be making our base. So I'm just gonna do a tiny base building, or like not base, but like starting village base. Yeah, starting village. I'm gonna build it a little bit. I'm also gonna erase the grass on the terrain because again we don't really need it. So I'm just gonna erase them. I'm just gonna make this brush size super big. I'm just gonna erase all the grass because, like, honestly, yeah, I don't need it. It's liking out my PC. So yeah. And I'm not gonna add like a super lot of detail into my base. In fact, I might actually just delete some of these because again it's making my PC lag. But I am going to make the basic shape, and of course you guys have the Mega Fantasy Prop Pack and you guys can make the scene as good as you want. For me, I'm just going to do a little base building montage, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay guys, so I have now officially finished my starting village. So obviously this is quite a small village. You guys can make it bigger, add more props. I mentioned I deleted some of them. Yeah, and that's because my computer is not very powerful. So yeah, but yeah, anyways, this is pretty good in my opinion for now. As a starting village, I might make the walls extend a little bit because I feel like it's kind of cramped. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to add a little gate. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for fences. And basically, we're just going to put these as gates. And let's make them 1.5 by 1.5 by 1.5. And basically what's going to happen is these two will act as barriers that will not allow the player to enter or exit the village until they have, talked to this guy, Jimmy, and has accepted the quest. So actually, let's make these like 1.8 by 1.8 by 1.8. Let's make this also 1.8 by 1.8. Whoops. Yeah, wait. No, that's good. Yeah, okay. Let's just drag it out a bit. Yeah, so basically this is preventing our player from venturing out into our RPG world without first, talking to the guy. So yeah, now all we need to do is make it so that we can actually exit, because right now it's, as you can see, we're kind of stuck in this village. We can't really exit. Now, what we can do is we can make it so that after you have talked to the guy, or Jimmy, or what was his name again? I believe it was Jeremy or something. I whatever. But after we talk to Jeremy, and after that, if we approach the fence, where we should be able to, open it by pressing E. So we're gonna call this gate, and we're gonna drag these two under, and we're gonna rename them to fences. So fence. And now we're just going to create an animation for opening it. So let's just go here, create an animation. Let's go into our assets and animation, and we can create a new folder called quest animations. And we call this gate1.anim. Whoops. Let me just let me rename this to not gate1.anim, but I added a comma behind it by accident. My bad. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna press record, and then over here we're just gonna copy this transform, just move it around a lot, as much as possible. Just paste the values, and over here we're just also gonna copy the component, move it around a lot, and paste the value. So why is this open? Yeah, and now at around, let's say 5 seconds, we're going to, oh wait, why wasn't it recording? Interesting. Anyways, we're gonna move this out a lot, and we're just gonna paste the values, and at around 5 seconds, it's going to move out, and so will this. Now we can play the animation. Oh wait, what? This is not 5 seconds. My bad. I thought it was 5 seconds. Okay, so this is actually 0.5 seconds. So we actually have to scroll out a lot more, and then to actually put it at 5 seconds. Actually, let's make it 4. I feel like 5 will kind of get boring watching the gate move. Yeah, okay, so that looks cool. What we're gonna do is we're gonna name this fence 1. So we're gonna be able to so we're gonna be able to, so we can be able to, distinguish between the two in our animation. So over here, we're also going to make this fence default over here, and then make it drag out over here at 4 seconds. So like so. So now that's how it'll look. And that looks pretty good. So the only thing we have to do now is make it work in script. So let's just create a new script, and in the quest, in the quest objects, we're gonna make quest 01 gate opener. And now we can enter the script. And also, before we go into the script, we're going to need to make a trigger. So again, we just right click on it and press 3D cube, and we're just going to drag in a 3D cube. Pretty simple. Let's just make this like 5 by 5 by 5. You can just drag this down here like so. Again, turn off mesh render, turn on is collider. Let's make these two values 8 by 8 by 8. And yeah, or let's make this last one 6 or 5. So yeah, or no, let's make it 7. But yeah, So yeah, that's pretty much it. And we can rename this to be trigger, and we can drag in our gate opener right here, and then we can enter our scripts. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to delete these two. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say pretty much the same as this actually, this script actually. So basically we're just going to copy all of this. And then we're going to come over here, paste it in, copy using TM Pro. And this time instead of sponsor, it's going to be open gate. Now we're going to copy this and paste it here. We're not going to actually we will. We're going to destroy the trigger. So we're going to destroy game object. And then now basically what we're going to do is instead of instantiating, we're going to reference an animation. So instead of all of these two, we're just going to say public animator anim. Over here what we're going to say is instead of doing this, we're going to do anim.enable is equal to true. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, and also we have to change this to say press E to open gate. And for now, we're not going to make it so that you can only open the gate after we talk to Jeremy. We're going to do that in the later part. So now let's make sure that this actually works. So we need the animation, which is animator, which is here, and we also need this trigger text, which is right here. And we also have to go check the animation and make it so that it only plays once. So how we do that is we go here to gate 1 and we tick off loop time, and then everything should work. So now if we go in here, oops, so we forgot to set the gate animation to be default not active. Now it should work. So now it's not active. Go up, it'll say press E to open gate, and we press E, the gates will open. Very grand gates. And yeah, so next what we're going to do is we're going to make it so we can only open the gates after we talk to Jeremy. So if I recall correctly, inside here, inside our player data, let me find the player data script. There's so many scripts, my god. That's not it, that's not it. Here we go. So player data, we have a quest number. So what we're going to say is private player data void start data is equal to find object of type player data, and we're going to say over here if other.tag is equal to player and data.quest number is equal to 1. So what this should do is make it so that we can only open the gate if our data quest number is 1. So now we can walk up here and we can walk up. Oh, my bad. Okay, so we also have to make an if statement. So right now it appears we can't open it. I tried spamming the E button, but it wouldn't let me open because of our parameters here. But yeah, so we forgot to set it so that on trigger enter we also can't open the gate. So now let's do it again. It should work. So now we're pressing. We're walking up to the gate, but we can't open it. And what we need to do is we need to talk to Jeremy or Joey. That's what we call him, Joey. So hi, I need your help. Can you go over to retrieve my sword? And if we walk up close enough, it should open, but it's not opening. So why is that? Our quest number is, what is our quest number? Click the slot. Our quest number did not change. Why is that? Let's go to NPC 1. You can see we do not change dialogue number actually. Interesting. So if this has not has talked, else does that game object dot get component dialogue number is equal to 5. So what we can do is we can make it so that obviously we can just set the. So I don't believe we set the quest number, which is very strange. So we're just gonna do here quest number is gonna be equal to 1. And yeah, that's pretty simple. Now we can restart the game and everything should hopefully work this time. I need your help, blah blah blah. And yeah, so now we can open the gate. I don't know what that was about, but thank God. We're just gonna check the chest and make sure it works one last time. As we approach the chest, we can press E to open it, and press E to pick up the sword. That's great. One thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna make it so that once you have picked up the sword, the objective, your new objective would be to go back to Joey. And let's see where Joey is. Where's our quest? Oh, there we go. So I guess our quest OBJ target. I see. So we're just gonna set, in this case, the target to be Joey after we have picked up the sword. So in our chest script, we can go to our scripts and we can go to the chest object. So script. Yep, so what we can do is we can reference the quest object, so we can reference the quest object by saying public quest obj. I believe we need a namespace. Yep, I'm right. So we do indeed need a namespace to reference it. So we can just say public quest obj. And we can say once they have pressed E and spawned the sword, we're gonna say obj.target is gonna be equal to, and we're gonna make another game object slot here. So public game object slot for Joey, and the target will be Joey.transform. So yeah, so we're just gonna do one last test before this video ends, and we're just gonna make it so that when we do approach the chest and pick it up or pick up the sword, our new target will be Joey and no longer the chest because we already picked up the chest. So there we go. There's the quest OBJ, and Joey is right here. So now all we're gonna do is we're going to talk to Joey, and after we have done that, in the next episode, we're gonna make the enemy spawn and everything, and we're gonna bring a conclusion to the quest. And basically, the questing system is pretty much done. Like, you can literally just go wild with the questing system, because, like, technically, the questing system is limitless. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. Because, like, you know, of how customizable the system is. But yeah, so for some reason, like, quest marker is kind of buggy, but that's okay. And yeah, everything works. So obviously you're not going to be able to go back to Joey after you pick up the sword because there's going to be enemies spawning, and if you try to run, they'll kill you. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. In the next episode, obviously we're going to make the enemy spawn and bring close to the chest. But in the episode after that, I want to get into like a menu and like, you know, an escape screen, and a death screen. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next episode, and bye guys.